It's time for the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast.
On this edition of the Kirby on Sports Podcast, we will be taking a deep dive in Week 12 of the National Football League. Thanksgiving Day matchups, a wild ride in the NFC East, and you have a ton of close games in the Patriots, Cardinals, Vikings, Panthers, Giants, Bengals, the Chiefs, and Bucks, and so much more. Plus, line them up with Zach Ruff, and so much more. But before we begin, we would like to thank our brand new sponsor at Regroup Building Services, specializing in custom homes, remodels, additions, and so much more. If you're looking for a new place to call home or just need repairs on your current home, look no further. Regroup Building Services has you covered. Make sure you check them out today at www.regroupbuildingservices.com. Once again, that's regroupbuildingservices.com. We do the honeydews that your honey don't. Make sure you tell them Josh sent you. We are also sponsored by PM Plus, providing capital reserve studies for condominium and homeowners associations in Northern Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. for the past 30 years, now serving the I-81 corridor from Hagerstown, Maryland to Stanton, Virginia. All right, it's time for another edition of the Kirby on Sports Podcast. It comes your way right now.
Glad you connected. This is Dave Johnson, voice of the Washington Wizards. You have connected to the right place because you are listening to my man, Josh Kirby, on Sports Podcast.
All right. Welcome back to another edition of the Kirby on Sports Podcast. As always, we're sponsored by Regroup Building Services and PM Plus Reserves. Big thanks, as always, to MPT Now Productions, Dave Johnson, and Productions by Quet for all their support of the podcast as well. Once again, another jam-packed week in the NFL. I hope you all enjoyed your Thanksgiving. I sure did. It was a great day filled with football in Turkey, and we don't have one. We have two guest contributors to break down week number 12 in the NFL and so much more for you. Starting off with Dan Demski. Dan, thanks for being here once again. How was your Thanksgiving, brother?
Thanks for having me, man. It was very nice, very low key, but got to spend some time with some really close family. Just a few of us, but it was really nice. So it wasn't too bad.
Great to hear it, man. Glad to have you on. And guest contributor number 2, you've heard him before. It's Carlos Martinez. Carlos, good to have you on, buddy. How you been?
What's up, man? I've been good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Always a pleasure. So let's get right into it, gentlemen. Thanksgiving, as you know, there were supposed to be 3 games, but due to COVID, that only got bumped back to 2. As of right now, the Ravens and Steelers are slated to play on Tuesday at 3:00. Dan, I know we'll get to hear your thoughts on this in just a second, but due to COVID, the Ravens, some of the big names for the Ravens, Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson tested positive. So a big outbreak. And it was a Ravens coach who did not wear a mask and did not wear a contact tracer. As of right now, he has been placed on leave or suspended. And where to look from here, Dan? Obviously, I believe there should be some fines coming. This coach may may as well be fired for his actions. But this is unexcusable. I can't believe it took week 12 for something this big to happen. In the most schedule flip-flop madness has started to happen because of this.
Yeah, and the big concern here is the fact that this is the biggest outbreak by far that we've seen during the season. 23 total players at one point. I think there was something like 11 or 12 active players or players that contribute on both sides of the ball. So certainly that, is a huge concern. And I totally agree. I think there are some big fines coming for the Ravens. And I wouldn't be surprised I'd be shocked if that coach has a job in a couple of weeks, to be quite honest with you. If you remember, the Titans got fined $350,000 back in October when they, broke COVID protocol. So, I think the Ravens fine could be, 500,000, maybe more. Cause this is just, if you remember, the Titans had about 8 or 9 players, I think, who tested positive and couldn't play, and they had to reschedule 2 of their games. And of course, in this situation, you have 20 some players, and they've been trying to move this game around, and it's been a complete mess there as well. So, I'm not really sure what the future holds for this. I do agree with you. I think there is going to be some disciplinary action, both from the National Football League, and I think the Ravens will impose some of that as well. I think it's necessary. Look, they all agreed to these terms in this protocol at the beginning of the season. And, if it's broken, you have to face the consequences. So the Ravens certainly are one of the biggest examples of what not to do. And it took a little longer than I think I expected, but it's just a mess right now, and we'll see what happens. And actually, they announced today that Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins might be activated for the game. They apparently tested negative and followed all the proper protocol. Of course, Lamar Jackson will still be out, and they'll still be missing several other key players. But I just wanted to update that because I think I saw that either earlier on today or late last night. So, this game is it's going to be interesting, to say the least. A former great Washington quarterback will be the starter. So it's going to be
Thanksgiving legend.
That's right. That's right.
Oh my!
It's going to be interesting for sure. We'll see how it goes. I'm not expecting a positive outcome on the Ravens side, obviously.
Just a quick update though. J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram are both eligible to play against the Steelers.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
it definitely helps, but it's still an uphill climb for sure.
All right, so let's discuss some of these Thanksgiving games that did happen.
Well, really quick on the Ravens, though. I mean, the punishment that could come down is probably going to be really big, like Dan said. But like for the Saints, they took a draft pick also from them. Now, it wasn't like a high draft pick; it was like a 7th rounder, I think. But like, I definitely expect the NFL to definitely come down hard on the Ravens for this because of how much like they've had. How much chaos this has like set the league into. Games are now always being moved. The NFL is trying so hard to not go into a week 18. That way they can like put out, when the season's over that like, hey, we did our season even, in COVID and we never had to like extend it. But I mean, at some point you got to just be like, it's just like we've moved this game 3 times. And at some point, you just got to be like, it's just not worth it. Like, let's just put it at the end of the season, and that way we don't throw all this chaos in because now, like, you got the Steelers now. They're going to play on Monday night or on Monday at, what was it, 5? I don't remember what time.
5 o'clock.
Yeah. Then you got, like, the Cowboys and Ravens. They're going to play on Tuesday at I don't even know what time. It's just thrown everything into chaos. And it feels like this is always happening to like the Steelers because it happened with the Titans. They lost their bye week because of that. And then obviously with this, it just feels like the Steelers are kind of cursed with like their opponents always getting COVID.
Yeah, but I mean, a big thing about this, we've gotten through week 12 in the National Football League with one game left to play. That is the Ravens and the Steelers. But I mean, what an accomplishment for the NFL to get this far in a season. And I was thinking about this earlier in the week. I was like, man, it feels like we're not in a pandemic. Every Sunday you get to sit down and watch football being played. It's like we're living in a sense of normalcy, but yet there is a pandemic going on, and the NFL is combating, trying to find ways to play the game safely and securely, and they've gotten this far. And I really cannot believe how far they have come with the amount of scheduling changes and stuff that has happened.
Yeah, I mean, for us to get this far is pretty incredible considering what you see, has been going on in college football where like games are getting canceled left and right. And then we haven't really had any game cancellations in the NFL. So, I mean, props to the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. The NFL's done, for the most part, a really good job. And we saw some situations earlier in the season, some coaches like John Gruden who didn't want to wear the mask and things like that. And we saw the NFL crack down on it. Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse. And I think that's kind of set a precedent here, really, until this happened. And I think the NFL is going to have to come down even harder if they expect to get through, the rest of the regular season and a postseason as well. I am surprised. Like I said, it took as long as it did to have an outbreak. I didn't expect there to be, 23 players on one team that tested positive. That's certainly
that's half the team.
Huge issue. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's and it's something that again, I agree with Carlos. Of course, that 6th or 7th round pick. I think it was a 7th that they took from the Saints. The Ravens could face. Who knows? Who knows what kind of penalty? But certainly the NFL is talking about that now. It's just insane that one coach who didn't follow proper protocol. And I think maybe the dumbest mistake the coach made was that he didn't report his symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't, his temperature, I guess, wasn't taken. I'm not really sure how it works in the NFL. It's different with every organization as far as screening goes.
Well, I thought it's like, isn't everybody in the organization supposed to get tested every day anyways?
Yes, exactly.
So,
that's what that was the thought. And maybe it's just players that are, I'm not sure if it's players and like primary coaches, like, the most important staff or how it works. But, after all these players started testing positive, I think that's when they found, the coach, they started testing all the coaches, and then they contact traced everybody to that one strength and conditioning coach. So it's a huge mess, and
yeah.
We'll see how the NFL responds. It's certainly going to be a harsh penalty, I think, for sure.
Absolutely. So let's move on to these Thanksgiving Day games. Really, one of them was better than the other. I want to briefly touch on the Texans and the Titans.
oh man.
Okay. The Texans and the Titans, briefly touch on the fact that the Lions just could not get anything done. They tried to mount a comeback towards the end, but obviously the Texans were just firing on all cylinders. It was a much needed win for the Texans once again, 4-7. But after this Lions loss, Matt Patricia and the Lions GM both relieved of their duties. And I think it was about time that the Lions needed a change. For the organization, I just don't think Matt Patricia was getting the job done or anything like that. So
that's an understatement.
That's a very big understatement.
Let's open the floor now. I assume you both like the move. Was it too early, too late? What are your thoughts?
Well, I just think the general rule of thumb when you see a situation like this is that some coaches are meant to be assistant coaches / coordinators. And it just goes to show that very few can be, not very few, but, certainly it's much more difficult to be a successful head coach in the NFL. I think especially when you take over a team like the Lions that has had decades and decades and decades of just negative history, course, they have the 0-16 season back in 2009. Of course, that was well before he got there. But my point is, he was kind of put in a difficult spot when he took the job in 2018. I just think he couldn't translate what he was able to do in New England with having a great coaching staff around him, of course, led by the great Bill Belichick. Just goes to show that sometimes the teacher, really grabs the whole coaching staff and sort of, turns them into something great. And I think that was kind of the case with Matt Patricia. He spent a long time in New England too. But certainly I just think he was in over his head, and I think anybody could see that really from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this took a little. Honestly, I thought they should have done it at the end of last season. They should have fired Matt Patricia. But I mean, yeah, you said it. Like you said it best, Dan. Like he was in over his head. I just don't think he really was ready for this. He came into the job after who was their coach prior? It was Jim Caldwell, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell wasn't a bad coach there.
No, he had two straight 9-7 seasons. They made 2 straight playoff appearances. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, and then you saw the reaction from like his former players and even from some of like the current players on that team. They just didn't respect the guy, and he really lost the team, and he kind of wasted, how long has he been the coach there? 3 years?
2-3 years.
2-3 years. Yeah, he's wasted 2-3 years of Matt Stafford's career. And I don't know, man. I just feel like they hired him hoping that he could bring the Patriot way to Detroit. And that's what a lot of these teams are trying to replicate is, the Patriots dynasty. The difference is the Patriots had a Bill Belichick. You can't just grab his assistant coaches and hope that they're going to end up the same. Like, that's just not how this works.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And we saw this with Josh McDaniels, same sort of thing. He's one of the more, large examples of this. So I think, like you said, Carlos, and like I mentioned too, it just goes to show you how important Belichick is to, being that sort of teacher and role model and leader to the team. It's just very impressive, to say the least.
I mean, the only guy that looks like has ever really worked out being hired out of Bill Belichick's staff is Brian Flores down in Miami. And right now Joe Judge is looking pretty good in New York. I mean, New York is 4-7, but that team is actually trying to compete.
Yeah.
But I mean, Matt Patricia, I don't know. I just never really liked the hiring in the first place. I thought people keep trying to replicate the Patriots, and you can't replicate the Patriots without Bill Belichick and a Tom Brady.
Amen.
Yeah. So enough on the Texans and Lions. That was a 41-25 rout in Detroit. And the Thanksgiving Day game that I was very surprised got about 30.
Were you, though? Come on, Kirby. Were you really surprised by this?
He just wants to say he's surprised. That's all. He wants to make you feel a little better.
Don't make me feel better. I went on a whole rant on this game.
Well, this game smashed ratings through the roof. Washington and Dallas, they got 30.3 million viewers during this game. And what a game it was. I mean, straight up, the first half, it was tightly contested. I was like, this could be anybody's ball game. As I always say, the dumpster fire called the NFC East. In the second half, Washington just ran away for it. Antonio Gibson, hands down, the player of the game in this game. 20 carries, 115 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And Terry McLaurin, 7 receptions for 92 yards, including a throw, Dan, from former Virginia Tech Hokie Logan Thomas.
Yeah,
ran that play. So
not gonna lie, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was
cool.
thinking of you,
that was
Dan.
pretty awesome.
I was thinking of you, Dan, when that happened. So, anyways, Alex Smith 2 years ago to the day got put in surgery for his leg, and for him to come back and beat Dallas, that means a lot. That any way you put it, Alex Smith's story is incredible, and Washington beating Dallas Yeah, what a way to top off Thanksgiving for this Washington team, giving them confidence. And I think they're going to celebrate the hell out of this win until they get routed by Pittsburgh by 50 or 60 points. So that just makes the win all the more better because we're like, hey, let's celebrate this win and get routed by Pittsburgh by 50 or 60. But Carlos, you're a Cowboys fan. We all know you're a Cowboys fan. So let's get your thoughts on this game.
Listen, I have never been so mad with this team in one season. We went through were never this bad with Jason Garrett, and they are as bad as they've ever been with the stooge Mike McCarthy. I cannot express how frustrated I am with this organization and why I have really debated whether I want to stay a Cowboys fan or not. Like, what are we doing? Defensively, we are the worst. We can't stop anybody. Offensively, okay, we've lost Dak Prescott. I'll give him that. But like Ezekiel Elliott, ever since we paid him that huge contract, that dude has done nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like, how do we get only 60 rushing yards in this game when you have Ezekiel Elliott in your backfield? Also, our offensive line is not that great right now. It's not, we went through a decade of fantastic offensive line play. And then when we obviously lose, a bunch of our star offensive linemen, but it just feels like the Cowboys just don't have a plan right now. And just, again, it's the defense that really gets me because at least throughout the Jason Garrett years, we were somewhat competent on defense. And this season, it feels like we're not, like, the players don't even know what they're doing. Like, I don't want to go. I'm going to get heated if I keep talking.
Can I give you a stat really quick? In Zeke's first 5 years, he had 5 fumbles. And this year, he has tied the first 5 years with 5 fumbles.
And they're stupid fumbles, too. Like, secure the ball, man. Keep it high and tight on your body. I don't know. Do something. But, I mean, it was the Atlanta game that really did it for me when he fumbled. I don't remember how many times they fumbled in that game. Was it 3 times in that game?
But you all won.
Yeah, barely by the skin of our teeth. But still, that was the game right there that I knew this season was going to be an absolute shit show, was that Atlanta game. And I wasn't a fan of the Mike McCarthy hire in the first place. But I wanted to give him a shot because obviously, he did beat us multiple times while he was in Green Bay. But it just feels like it just feels like he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's like not with the times with the league, and like he's trying to play. And his defensive coordinator, what's his name again? Mike Nolan. Mike Nolan hasn't been a defensive coordinator since like 2008, I think it was. So like, what is he doing coaching a defense in 2020 when you haven't been a defensive coordinator in a decade, essentially? Like,
a lot of pain and heartache for Carlos.
It just sucks because the Cowboys we keep riding on this whole notion of like we have 5 Super Bowls. The last Super Bowl we won, I was only like 3 months old. I've never seen this team ever be anywhere remotely close to the Super Bowl. And every year there's always talks, oh, this could be the Cowboys year. This could be the Cowboys year. I'm sick and tired of it, man. Like, as a fan, I'm like, listen, we have the talent. We have the players here. Everything is here. We just need somebody to put it in place. And who they should have gotten was not Mike McCarthy as their coach. Mike McCarthy lied to Jerry Jones's interview anyways by saying he watched every play, which he damn well didn't because he wanted the job. Who they should have tried to get was Lincoln Riley out of Oklahoma. That's who I really think is the person who should be running this team because just he knows how to get this, like, at least in the college game, he he's lighting it up with every quarterback he gets. And then defensively, they should have just kept who they had, which was Rod Marinelli. I think that's how you say his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the Seahawks old defensive backs coach. That's who they should have kept. And because like all in all, like I do believe it was Jason Garrett's time to leave because the team was just not going to ever get over the hump. But at least we were guaranteed 8-8 with that guy. You know, we're not guaranteed 8-8 this. We're already 4-8, and we have Baltimore next week, which I mean honestly we're probably going to lose. You know, if Lamar Jackson's back, and then we have the Ravens next week. We have. Who else do we have? We have the Bengals, which, okay, that's probably a winnable game. And then we have the 49ers, which that's not guaranteed. It just depends which 49ers team shows up. And then to close out the season, we got the Eagles. I can't guarantee an 8-8 season with this remaining schedule and with how this defense plays. It's awful. It's terrible. I've never been so frustrated and so like ashamed to be a Cowboys fan because I'm like, we have gone through 10 years of incompetence and it's continuing. And you got any thoughts?
You close out the year with the Giants, by the way, because Washington closes out the year with Philly.
Oh, you're right. I didn't.
Your record is
that.
3-8, not 4-8.
3-8. Thanks for making me feel better, Kirby.
He just rubs it in, doesn't he?
Dan, what are your thoughts on Logan Thomas? Obviously, you must have loved that huge throw by Logan Thomas and the Washington trick plays they're implementing that throw Logan Thomas made, the fumble Ruski and J.D. McKissick running it. I mean, other than one ill-advised interception from Alex Smith and Ronald Darby just blowing coverages left and right, this game was pretty much evenly matched from a perspective of the first half until Washington just ran away with it in the second half. And another key point, Dallas had injury after injury after injury after injury. Did. So, Dan, let's hear.
Hey, really quick, I did forget to mention that 4th and 10 play.
Oh yeah, the 4th.
I don't understand that play, but all right, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Logan Thomas. He's actually been one of those players for Washington that's been very consistent outside of Antonio Gibson, and he's been consistent throughout his NFL career. When he first became a tight end, I was a little surprised. I was like, I mean, he's big enough to be a tight end, but it just takes a certain skill set. But he's really proven every doubter he's had wrong. And like I said, been one of the most consistent players. And yeah, that's one of those plays that it was obvious that no one was expecting it. I don't know if they've run anything similar this year. I'd have to defer to Kirby on that. He's a Washington football expert. So, but I just thought in general with this game, the way Washington was able to run the football really took a lot of pressure off of Alex Smith. And, that to me was the main difference. And, Antonio Gibson, 3 touchdowns, 115 yards. He is hard to slow down. And this was really the perfect game for him to go off because Dallas's rush defense is not very
atrocious.
Good.
It's atrocious.
Not sure where y'all rank, but I'd say you're down there pretty far. So this was really the perfect game for Antonio Gibson. And on the Cowboys side of things, what the heck is wrong with Zeke? I mean, all season long, he just seems like he can't get going. And this was another game where he, had the same problems. I'm not sure if he's been hurt all season or if there's something going on behind the scenes that people don't know about. But, when your star quarterback gets hurt and you're paying Zeke, Zeke the last few years has been one of the best running backs in the National Football League. And it's really odd to see him really lose a big step this year and then some. So we'll see how it pans out. But certainly this season, outside of that Vikings game, the week before when he had 103 rushing yards, really just hasn't been sharp this year at all. So I'm sure you could go back to Carlos to talk more about Zeke, but those are my thoughts. And you guys mentioned the fourth down play. I still don't understand.
And then Mike McCarthy defended the play. He was like, I thought it was a good call. What are you talking about?
A good call on 4th and 10
on our own, like
20.
I think it was like around 22-yard line. And it was just like, it was a terrible play in the first place. It wasn't like it was a throw. It was like a pitch or something. He was going to have to like turn the corner and try and make 10 yards out of that. It was awful.
Yeah.
And then Gibson goes in on the very next play untouched. I was like, that's great field position you're giving Washington. But
and it wasn't as if we were down. We weren't even like down by that much at that point. We were still in the game at that point.
That was by far the turning point in the game. If you want to go to one play that, first of all, was idiotic. Second of all, gave Washington most of the momentum, and then they just carried it from there. You could go to that fourth down play for sure.
Yeah. So that's Thanksgiving for you. It was a fun one. I ate a lot of turkey, watched a couple good football games. 41-16 Washington over Dallas. Gentlemen, moving on to the Sunday slate of games. And boy, there were a ton of great games on. Patriots.
A lot of good ones.
Yeah, Patriots, Cardinals.
Do not put that as a good game. Don't put that as a good game. Cam Newton couldn't even throw for 100 yards.
Okay, how the Patriots beat the Cardinals with Cam Newton's stat line amazes me. 20-17, a game-winning field goal for the Patriots to beat the Cardinals. Another much-needed win for the Patriots. They're still struggling. Cam Newton, I just don't know what the situation is there. I mean, I feel like Bill Belichick can still work with him and make him a good quarterback, but it's nothing like they have had when Tom Brady was there. Heck, you had Tom Brady in that system for 20 years and you switched to Cam Newton. Yeah, you're going to see some differences, but still, it's crazy to see New England 5-6 on the season after week 12. That's unheard of.
Dan, you want to go?
Sure, I'll go.
Yeah, whoever.
Just looking at these stats, I mean, I watched some of that game, especially on Red Zone, but I mean, my God, they only had 179 yards of total offense to pass.
Yeah.
I don't know how they won. I mean, let's see, man.
Wally's looking.
They have a special teams touchdown or something. I gotta scroll through and find this out. I don't know how they scored.
Kenyon Drake scored 2 touchdowns for Arizona. James White scored 2 touchdowns for New England. So more a running attack game for both the Cardinals and the Patriots there. But
it was James White scored 2 touchdowns for the Patriots.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
You opened my eyes a little bit. Okay, got it now.
Yeah, it was James White who scored 2, and then that's 14. But how did they get 20? Did they get a defensive touchdown?
I have no clue, but Cam Newton just does not look comfortable for New England at all.
It's ever since he got COVID, it feels like ever since he came back from that, he just hasn't been the same because he was playing lights out at the beginning of the season. And it just felt like ever since he came back from COVID, it just feels like he hasn't been the same Cam Newton.
Yeah, it seems like he's like sleepwalking, I think. And when they put the camera on him at the end of the game, I don't know if you guys saw that. He looked exhausted and just like he wasn't like mentally with it, if that makes sense. And that's very concerning for your. Well, I don't know how long he'll be a franchise quarterback there, but certainly for the time being. This game was so bizarre to me. And Kyler Murray really, I mean, he probably had one of his worst games. Just couldn't seem to do anything right. Had
that's
DeAndre Hopkins a few times and just missed him. And there's just a disconnect. And it happens with young quarterbacks in a lot of games, and I think this was his game for sure, where it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, it just seems like the Cardinals are always like the hit or miss team.
Yeah.
Like you can't ever guarantee them to like always be on, and they have so much talent. I mean, when you got DeAndre Hopkins, like, come on,
Man.
just throw it up to him, he'll get it.
Exactly.
But I mean, also, like, we got to factor in Gilmore into this. Like, Gilmore did shut DeAndre Hopkins down.
Oh yeah.
5 receptions for 55 yards, no touchdowns. Kyler Murray didn't throw a single touchdown. There was only 1 interception. I still, the Cardinals will make the playoffs. I'm not concerned about whether they'll make the playoffs or not, but they have to. This was a game they should have won, especially when Cam Newton can't throw for 100 yards and throws 2 picks. You should win this game. And the fact that they didn't, I mean, once again, Bill Belichick can beat one of his old coaches because Cliff Kingsbury, Jesus, he did coach for Belichick in like 2003, I think it was.
Ooh, that's a good nugget.
Yeah,
that's a pull.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah, Belichick just. That's the thing. The Patriots are going to win games solely because of Bill Belichick.
They find ways to win, and
that's what. Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
right.
Yeah, it sucks for the Cardinals because the Cardinals are now they're the last seed. I think they're in 7th now.
Let me check real fast, but I think that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're looking playoffs, I believe that's the case. But looking at Kyler Murray here, his stat line wasn't that bad. He 23 for 34, 170 yards, no touchdown throws, but still, he completed most of his passes in the game. But I mean, still the low pass.
You can complete all the passes you want, but if you don't get it in the end zone and score, what does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
You know?
Exactly.
That's true, but still, I mean, this was just a very weird game because I felt like the Cardinals would come out more explosive, and
they were expected to score a lot of points, especially against this New England defense that has had a lot of issues.
Yeah, and the Patriots came out and kicked a game-winning field goal.
Yeah, and Belichick had that defense ready to go, so give them a ton of credit, like Carlos mentioned. They definitely came to play, and they came to shut down the Cardinals' offense.
Absolutely.
Hats off to them.
Absolutely. So let's move forward. The Patriots win that game 20-17. The next game on our slate might make Dan sort of upset, as Joey Sly could not come in. He could not come in clutch for the Carolina Panthers. They fall to the Minnesota Vikings by a point after a missed field goal.
God.
I mean, credit to the Panthers. They stayed in this game, had Minnesota on their toes all day, and Kirk Cousins actually threw a good game. The O-line for Minnesota is still not the greatest. Chemistry for the Vikings defense is looking better. Not the best, but still better. And the Vikings come out with this win 28-27. And Teddy Bridgewater's first game back in Minnesota. Isn't that crazy? First game.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Multiple lead changes in this game. And all in all, just it was a fight. Teddy Bridgewater fought hard trying to win this game. Unfortunately, Joey Sly could not come up with a game-winning field goal, but this was a great game to watch. And Kirk Cousins, he actually had a pretty decent game.
Yeah, one of his most impressive this season for sure. And he really picked apart the Carolina secondary, which I think I would say has been done quite often this season. But, outside of that, Dalvin Cook, he didn't run the ball as well as I think people thought he might in this game. Although Carolina's defensive front's pretty solid, so it's not really surprising.
Didn't Dalvin Cook leave injured?
Yes,
I believe he did. I did not see the whole play, but I did see he did get injured. I could not find anywhere what happened though. for some odd reason.
Have to go look that up for sure. But
that's a huge hit if Dalvin Cook can't come back next week.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it takes away a huge dimension of their offense, especially when
Mike Zimmer said Dalvin Cook is feeling good.
Okay,
so
all right.
Yeah, he should be back.
Carlos Martinez with that. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, Carlos.
I'm on it.
Yeah, they definitely need him, especially when Kirk Cousins 1 week throws for 300 yards, and then the next week he throws for 100 yards and has 4 interceptions. So they definitely need Dalvin Cook. I think for Carolina, I mean, it was just a case of, they built a pretty good lead going into the fourth quarter. It was 21-10.
Mm-hmm.
They just couldn't close it out. Give credit to Minnesota and being able to, first of all, come back and score 18 points in the fourth quarter. But secondly, I mean, the Panthers, what are you doing? I mean, it's almost like their defense just kind of said, "Oh, we have a big lead. We're going to just let off the gas a little bit." And before you know it, the Vikings did what they had to do. And then that missed field goal at the end made me so mad, honestly, because not just because Joey Sly was a former Virginia Tech Hokie, but I have a friend who's a Panthers fan, and I was like, he's going to make this kick. It's Joey Sly. He's one of the best in the NFL, da-da-da-da-da. And he kicked maybe the worst kick I've seen in a while.
That was a really bad kick.
I mean, it looked like me trying to kick for real. So it came off his foot, and I just went, "You got to be kidding me." And I texted my friend. He's like, "Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to happen." So other than that, I mean, I thought a lot of the early window games on Sunday were really good, and back and forth. So, and this game was no exception.
Yeah, absolutely. The Vikings 28-27 over the Panthers.
I mean, we have to give a shout out though to Justin Jefferson because that dude.
Oh yeah,
balled. 2 touchdowns, 7 receptions, 70 yards. Like my God, that kid is special. Like that was a good pickup for the Vikings.
I knew I was missing somebody. Jefferson was the person I was missing. He has balled out the past couple of weeks for Minnesota. He's been playing great, and it's a great weapon for Kirk Cousins to use in any situation, short game, long game. It just seems like Justin Jefferson can get there and making a great play out of it.
He's definitely filled the hole that Diggs left.
Yeah.
In that team.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, no doubt. So moving on, the Vikings over the Panthers 28-27. I want to briefly touch on this game because it does have division implications in the NFC East, but how Washington on Thursday beat Dallas. They got possession of first place, and then a close matchup between the Giants and the Bengals. The Giants won that game 19-17 with Brandon Allen coming in for the injured Joe Burrow, and Daniel Jones actually leaving this game as well. Colt McCoy finishes off 6 for 10, 31 yards. Not
Colt
that it really
McCoy.
mattered.
He's still in the league.
Yeah,
So awful.
yeah, he is, but still, I mean, I mean, not that it really matters, but the Giants just it was a close game and they beat the Bengals 19-17. Almost had a big drive there towards the end. Scored a touchdown, the Bengals did, and then the Giants had to punt back to them, and then they got a fumble. The Giants recovered, but anyways, the Giants retook the lead in the NFC East because they swept Washington. So they're tied, but New York has the tiebreaker since they beat Washington twice. That just goes to show you how bad this NFC East is. The dumpster fire of the NFC East. But Daniel Jones, once again, a non-contact injury, and Colt McCoy took his place. It was non-contact. That's very interesting to see. It's very rare to see a quarterback just have a non-contact injury in a game.
Those are the scary injuries, though.
Yeah, they are, definitely. But yeah, no word on if Daniel Jones is ready for next week, but it's going to be huge if Daniel Jones misses any time with this injury with the first place New York Giants right now.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, if they don't have Daniel Jones, I don't think they have any shot. I mean, the Giants don't have an easy path right now. They got the Seahawks this Sunday, then they got the Cardinals, then they got the Browns, then they got the Ravens, and then they finish the season with the Cowboys. I can't guarantee that they I mean, I honestly, without Daniel Jones, I don't see them winning 4 out of the 5. Or maybe even all 6 they might lose. Wait, 6? No, 5. I'm sorry. Yeah, or maybe all 5. Yeah, right now, honestly, I don't know who's in the driver's seat for this division because it's not as if the Eagles are playing any better. Washington's got, they got a tough schedule ahead, and the Giants are missing Daniel Jones, and they also got a tough schedule. And I'm not putting any money on the Cowboys to win this division. So, yeah, I just this is the worst division in football right now, and it's very disappointing.
Yeah, so all they know right now, and this is per Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network, is that he had an MRI early this week, and it showed that he doesn't have a serious hamstring injury. The timetable is what they're uncertain about right now. He'll most likely miss this week, but they think he might have a chance to come back the week after. So that'll definitely help the Giants' chances of winning the NFC East the sooner he can get back.
Yeah, this NFC East, though, we all know it's a dumpster fire.
So bad. And
what's up, Dan?
So shocked when Colt McCoy took the field. I was like, first of all, he's the Giants' backup quarterback? What? And then the same thing Carlos said, like, how is he still in the league? Like, are you serious?
I didn't even know he left Washington.
He left Washington after that huge quarterback carousel where Colt broke his leg or something. Then Mark Sanchez.
Oh, that was after.
That.
Yeah, that was after Alex Smith broke his leg, and then Colt broke his leg next, and then it just
Mark
kept going
Sanchez
and going
for a game. Then Josh Johnson, and
Josh Johnson, who hadn't played a game in like 5 or 6 years.
Oh yeah.
Played.
Oh yeah.
That was a dumpster fire for Washington that year. That sucked because they were in first place too going into that week that Alex Smith.
6-3. Alex Smith breaks his leg in against Houston wearing throwback jerseys. Alex Smith.
Kirby remembers the details.
Alex Smith starts 2 years later against the Bengals with throwback jerseys and beats the Bengals. So full circle for Alex Smith. But,
I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for him because, like, when you saw that his documentary that they made on ESPN, man, that dude honestly has no business being on the field right now. And the fact that he's doing it is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to hear. So moving on, here's a game I want to get into a lot of detail on. The Chiefs and the Buccaneers. My goodness. That
was such a good game.
Tyreek Hill in the first quarter. In the whole game, I'll give you his whole game stat. 13 receptions, 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. But the first quarter, man, Tyreek Hill putting up career numbers right there. Patrick Mahomes, you have a weapon to throw to all day.
MVP. MVP.
Yes.
What? Sorry.
Oh, he definitely is MVP. He deserves it.
Yeah, but then you have Tom Brady. He looks decent, but throws 2 picks. Still, what's wrong with the Buccaneers? Tom Brady must be getting very irritated. He can't win any football games.
Well, this was a difficult matchup for them coming in. Everybody knows how good Kansas City is.
Yeah.
And, especially, Kansas City's got some playmakers on that defense too. And you got to credit the secondary for some of those bad mistakes that Brady had. It's not just on Brady. Sometimes they disguise the coverages really well and just confuse them. But, I really can't put my finger on the problem with Tom Brady. Judging by this game, I mean, I think any quarterback in the NFL is going to struggle in this matchup. And, the 3 touchdown passes, I thought Brady looked pretty good. It's just, again, it's kind of the late game mistakes that, Brady just throughout his career has not made. And in this game, he, unfortunately, we've grown accustomed to seeing him do it more often. But I just can't wrap my head around how good Kansas City's offense is.
Yeah.
And,
it's unreal.
It's like they're playing on rookie. I mean, honestly, watching them play, it's just not even fair, to be quite honest. How good Patrick Mahomes is, and God, how good Tyreek Hill was. I've never seen a receiver play better in the last few years than Tyreek Hill did on Sunday.
Yeah.
And, you would think after a while they'd start to double cover him. It probably wouldn't matter because he'd probably just blow by him anyway. But this game was definitely, I think anticipated to be a high scoring game, and it didn't disappoint.
It did not, absolutely. And before I send it to Carlos, I mean, Patrick Mahomes almost 500 yards passing. It's
insane.
Yeah,
insane.
He's growing accustomed to throwing over 500 yards a game, just about. And it's
so
ridiculous.
hard to stop them. It's just so hard.
Well, just think about what he said last season. He said he didn't find out until like the middle of the season how to read defenses, and he won an MVP not being able to read defenses. So now think about what he's doing now. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is he's just an alien. Like, I've never seen anybody able to play the way that guy plays. Like, he's by far my favorite quarterback playing right now. Whenever Patrick Mahomes is playing, I'm watching. And yeah, just I don't know what Tampa Bay was trying to do defensively. They were trying to put pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and by doing that, they were just playing man coverage out in the secondary.
Their corners to die, basically.
Yeah, basically. And it was like, you can't do that with the guy. I mean, his nickname is Cheetah. Like, come on. Like, Tyreek Hill is like fast as hell. Like, you can't leave you can't leave your defensive backs out there by themselves. And you saw in the second half, they eventually moved a safety over top of Tyreek Hill, so it was a little more difficult for him to get the deep ball. But man, just Patrick Mahomes. I mean, even the scoreline is 27-24, but it never felt like Kansas City was ever like in fear of losing this game or like a threat of losing the game. It was. Right. It felt like they were in control the whole time, and they feel like the Golden State Warriors from like 2016, the one that they lost to the Cavaliers, where it feels like they can just go on a run whenever they want.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
This game was going to be such an uphill battle for the Bucks going into the fourth quarter when they were down 27-10. So give Brady and company some credit for almost getting back in the game, but like you said, Carlos, I really don't think the end result was really ever in doubt when you have such a big lead like that. And, one last point I'll make is just how scary this Chiefs offense is because they have so many weapons. I mean, you got Travis Kelce and Sammy Watkins. You got Robinson, you got McKeel Hardman. If you don't cover one of their playmakers, they have three or four more. So the Chiefs are it's just insane. It's like if you're like doing a fantasy draft in Madden and you just take the best players at every position and put them on one team. That's basically what they have on their offense.
I mean, they got Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell in the backfield. Like, you can't lose against this team. Like, you can't win. You can't win.
It's just not fair to the rest of the NFL, but they deserve all the credit for what they've built there, and they should be undefeated. I think they should never have lost to the Raiders. Anyway.
Oh my God. Oh, how they lost to the Raiders is still beyond me, considering what happened this week.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, another thing is that I just feel like it's also the reason why the Buccaneers are kind of struggling is also there was no off season, so Brady didn't really have a lot of time to build that trust and like that relationship with his receivers. And obviously these are all new receivers, and he's also running a new system. Like, he's not running that same system that he was running in New England for the most part. It's Bruce Arians is, go routes, just throw the deep ball, score on two plays. And you see it in the stats. Like, a lot of quarterbacks that run the system in the first year, they do struggle. But then it's the second year that you really start to see them figure it out and really like play better.
And you see the one guy that Brady has the most chemistry with led the team in receiving. Gronk with 6 receptions for 106 yards. So, we see that connection has never strayed. and it hasn't strayed during this season either. That's been really Brady's go-to guy because that's who he's comfortable with. He knows where to put the ball, where Gronk can get it, and all of that stuff. So, yeah, I totally agree with everything you said.
Yeah, and it's not like the receivers played a horrible game. I mean, yeah, there were some mistakes. Like, yeah, Brady threw the 2 picks. And, and obviously Tony Romo thinks that one of them was Mike Evans' fault somehow, some way.
Because Tony Romo knows everything.
Listen, this was not his best game, but like I do enjoy listening to Tony Romo on commentary. But I mean, Mike Evans scored 2 touchdowns, and they were pretty good touchdowns too. I mean, Ronald Jones caught that one where he went 37 yards.
Yeah.
But I just feel like Tampa Bay's still figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I do believe that in the playoffs, they'll have it figured out. Whether they make the Super Bowl is still up for debate because all in all, I feel like the road goes through Kansas City. The big game is going to be the AFC Championship game if it's Kansas City against Pittsburgh. But Tampa Bay, if they can get this going and figure it out with Leonard Fournette, with Ronald Jones, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, I mean, they're loaded. They have Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
Antonio Brown didn't do jack. He's got 2 receptions for 11 yards. If they can get him implemented into this offense and get him going, Tampa Bay can really go stride for stride with Kansas City if they can figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are weapons on weapons on weapons on end for this Kansas City offense, and I can't comprehend. I can't put it into words how good this team has been playing, and
it's just not fair. That's just all it is to teams who play them. It's like, what do we have to do to stop this team? I mean, ask the Raiders because apparently they were able to do it. I'm not sure. I think that game might have been fake news, but
well, they beat them that one time, but then even in the second game, Patrick Mahomes had to bring them back.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's just like, what is it that the Raiders did?
I guess John Gruden, man, he watches a lot of tape, man.
Oh yeah, he does. He does, man.
Oh God. 2 Gruden impersonators in the house. All right, gentlemen, let's move on. That's the big games we talked about on our slate. Let's move into some short nuggets for you. Starting off, San Francisco beating Los Angeles. This San Francisco 49ers team looks like they have 2 different sides. I mean, I was very surprised. I thought the Rams could have easily pulled this off, but you have San Francisco back and a key guy coming back, Richard Sherman, that actually had an interception in this game. So 23-20, San Francisco beat LA. LA falls to 7-4 in the NFC. That's a tough division in their division once again. So short and sweet, guys. What do you think of this game?
Jared Goff played like crap. No touchdowns.
Oh, he's so bad.
And that was the difference. I mean, when you're playing against Nick Mullins and he has a better stat line than you do, I mean, that's
my God.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's really bad when Nick Mullins has a better stat line than you, and yet you're the guy who led your team to a Super Bowl like a couple of seasons ago.
People forget.
Like the Rams they just shit the bed in this one. Like, let's just put it plain and simple. They just did not execute. How do you lose to this 49ers team? This is a 49ers team that's so banged up. Imagine what they're going to be like when they get everybody back next season.
Yeah.
They're
going to be thirsty for a
lineman had a pick 6 for the 49ers. That's
just I mean, even Sean McVay called out Jared Goff at the end of the game. He's like, he's got to make better decisions. Like, you can't do this,
franchise quarterback too.
Yeah. So right. I don't know how much longer he's going to be, but
Yeah. Who knows?
All right. Moving on to our next nugget. Nick Foles out with an injury. Chicago playing in Lambeau Field with Mitchell Trubisky went. We all know how that went. Aaron Rodgers putting up career numbers. Not a lot to get into there except for the record Aaron Rodgers broke. 21 for 29 in that game, 211 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, it's against the Bears, but still, Aaron Rodgers still being great, doing great things. Any thoughts on this, gentlemen?
Aaron Rodgers is number 2 on my MVP list.
Number 1 is Pat Mahomes, I assume.
Obviously. But what really got me during this game was in the pregame, how like they kept talking about how the coaches were hyping up Mitchell Trubisky and like being like, oh, he's got an edge to him now. Oh, this is the best week of practice we've ever seen. I knew from the start. I knew it. I knew from the before the game started. They showed this one like shot of like Mitchell Trubisky trying to get his team hyped up, and I just saw it in the team. They're not with Mitchell Trubisky. That defense quit this game. They quit on the Bears, and it's because Mitchell Trubisky's just god awful. I never understood the pick in the first place. I never understood why when you had Deshaun Watson on the board, I would have picked Deshaun Watson. I knew that guy was a winner. Where did Mitchell Trubisky even come from? He played 1 year at North Carolina, and somehow he was the number two overall pick. It made no sense to me. And then when you see how they missed out on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, and you got this guy who, how they were even 5-1 to start out with is beyond me.
He has no pocket presence either. I mean,
he's terrible. He is awful. Yeah. He's terrible. But the Broncos would have loved to have him.
I would just simply say the Packers own the Bears time and time again, and the Packers own the division. So that's just how it is. I mean, Rodgers, again, is another guy. It's like he's playing on rookie and everybody else is playing on all pro. It's just, man, watching him throw a deep ball is a thing of beauty. I'll tell you what.
Oh, man, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
No one throws it better deep than Aaron Rodgers.
It's him and Patrick Mahomes. They throw the best deep ball.
Yep.
But but it's almost as if like Aaron Rodgers throws it like him and Patrick Mahomes literally can throw it the same way. And Aaron Rodgers has said it. He's been doing no look passes forever. And then when you go back and you look at the tape, you're like, oh yeah, he really has.
Exactly.
Yeah. The thing I like about Aaron Rodgers, his deep balls on a free play when somebody jumps off sides.
Oh man.
Yes. that hard count is a thing of beauty.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it catches people off sides all the time. All right, the next nugget we'll get into. The Denver Broncos are without a quarterback due to COVID concerns. Obviously, New Orleans beats them, but 31-3, but a practice squad wide receiver comes in as a quarterback for the Denver Broncos. It was Kendall Hinton, 1 for 9, 13 yards and 2 interceptions.
Yeah. Well, yep. The expectation wasn't high, and it
was not.
Hats off.
It was not.
Hats off.
Yeah.
Hats off to the guy.
Yeah, I think they said like before he was on the practice squad, he was like doing something in sales or something weird like that. Anyway, yeah, huge hats off to him. I think he played in college. He played at Wake Forest, but that was like 3 or 4 years ago now. So he's been away from the quarterback position for forever.
Yeah.
And we all, we had a feeling that the Broncos were going to be running the ball quite a bit, and they did. And I mean, credit the Saints. They were supposed to dominate this game, and they did. And they shouldn't have given up that field goal in the third quarter, though. What a shame. They should have gotten a shutout.
Yeah. You know who the Broncos would have? I bet you they really wish they had Logan Thomas on their team.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because he would have been slid in a quarterback at that.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking the whole time we were talking about about Washington running that trick play. I was like, man, imagine if he was on the Broncos, he'd be playing quarterback. But
yeah, I mean, tight end and just confuse the hell out of the defense.
Exactly. But yeah, but I mean, you got to give props to this guy. What's his name? Kendall Hinton. Hinton. He was put in an impossible situation, but at least now we all know that like if nobody can talk crap about being like, oh, I could go into the game and complete one pass. That dude barely completed that pass. And he said it himself. He was like, the speed of the linebackers is what gets you. Right. They're just so fast. And on top of that, it's the Saints defense. That defense has been playing lights out. And yeah, not much else to say, but every team now is going to have a COVID quarterback, ready to go. Cause in case the situation like this arises, like the Bills already do it. A couple teams already do it, but now I bet you every team's going to have their third string, fourth string quarterback, just like off in a separate room.
All right. The next nugget, the Cleveland Browns, the worst they can do this season is go 8-8. They have clinched their first winning season in God knows how long.
Oh, God.
Wow.
I can't stand the Browns.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. They can finally take the paper bags off their heads. The Browns are actually a good team. I know you hate them.
I know. I wouldn't call them a good team.
I want to go good team yet. They're at least
schedule.
Yeah, they're at least finally a competent team. Yeah, I think Stefanski has done a really good job at making this a competent team, but they're not good enough to go all the way.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they can take the paper bags off their heads. I mean, they're finally winning games.
I mean, I'm happy for the fan base. Like, I am happy for the fan because they've dealt with nothing but, mediocre football year, being the joke of the league. Finally, they're not the joke of the league. But let's see if they can keep it going. Let's see if Baker Mayfield is going to continue, because it's not as if Baker Mayfield's playing lights out. Honestly, the reason why they're being so successful is because they're playing old school football and they're running the ball with Chubb.
Nick Chubb was great.
Man, Nick Chubb he's definitely top 3 running backs. But with Chubb and what's the other running back's name? It's passing me right now.
Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt. Yes, Kareem Hunt.
Yes, Kareem Hunt.
I think that guy used to be a chief. They're a competent team. Good for them. Getting a winning season. Let's see what you build off of this.
Yeah, I think the Browns defense has a lot of problems. I mean, you give up 235 passing yards to a guy who, hell, I hadn't seen play quarterback since like 2015 or something like that. I mean, I'm sure he's played, maybe not started since 2015. Mike Glennon for the for Jacksonville. That's another guy. They said who the starter was, and I was like, he's still in the league? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Isn't Mike Glennon from Virginia?
I think so. Well, his older brother played at Virginia Tech. I think he played at NC State, I want to say.
Yeah, he went somewhere else, but I'm pretty sure he went to high school here in Virginia.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. Mike Glennon, I cannot believe he's still in the league, like you just said.
One thing about the Cleveland defense, though, is Myles Garrett didn't play in this game. So they were missing a key guy in that defense. But when he plays, that Cleveland defense is actually pretty good. I won't lie.
Westfield in Chantilly, Virginia. He was born in Fairfax County, Mike Glennon.
Oh, he was born in my hometown.
Insane.
Yeah, so Virginia Grand, Virginia Rays, we're all in Virginia right now. So pretty interesting to see. The next 3 nuggets, really quickly. Ryan Fitzpatrick takes the starting position back. Tua Tagovailoa is injured. Miami obviously beats New York, and that goes into my second nugget. Why is Adam Gase still employed? 0-11. Adam Gase is still employed by the New York Jets. Dan, I know we've been griping and moaning and complaining about it, but it's time for Adam Gase to go.
He's gone. He's gone at the end of the season. There's no way they keep him.
I think COVID's the only reason why they're even keeping him, to be honest. I think that's going to be their excuse just until the season.
I cannot believe it.
I honestly think they're keeping him for the rest of the season just because they want to go 0-16. That way they guarantee that, first overall pick and they can get Trevor Lawrence. But I mean,
What if Lawrence doesn't go because he doesn't want to play for the Jets?
Lawrence he's gonna leave Clemson. There's no way he's going back. I mean, listen, personally, if I was Trevor Lawrence, I wouldn't leave. I wouldn't want to go to the New York Jets. That's the most incompetent franchise I've ever seen. They have not been able to get anything right since Rex Ryan magically took them to the 2 AFC championship games with Mark Sanchez.
They haven't been consistent for a long time.
No.
To say the least.
I mean, the last time they won a Super Bowl was with Joe Namath. Like, come on. Like, I mean, on the Ryan Fitzpatrick front, I mean, good for him. You know, I mean, you did it against the New York Jets. Whether he's going to be able to take them the rest of the way, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, the only reason why Adam Gase even got this job was because Peyton Manning vouched for him, apparently. So,
wow, interesting.
Yeah, I would say that I think Adam Gase's arrogance. I've seen his press conferences a few times, and it's just mind-boggling how arrogant the guy is.
Like, what has he accomplished to be so arrogant?
I think he thinks that 0-11 is undefeated, if you will. Undefeated on the winning end.
No, you know, he uses it backwards. He's reading it like they do in Japan. He reads it from right to left, not left to right.
So he's like, all right, we're in good shape. So
good shape at 0-11.
Man,
wow.
The Jets are a disaster. And I really don't know if Lawrence is going to stay or not. Part of me thinks that every great college athlete who has a chance to make it pro will do it just because they're finally getting paid for their hard work, rightfully paid for their hard work, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they're just such a bad team.
I wouldn't want to go there. Like, I really would. Like, I understand Trevor Lawrence is special. Like, he is a special quarterback. But yeah, that's the thing. You've seen it with Joe Burrow going to Cincinnati. He got, he's out for the year because, there's no good offensive line in Cincinnati. It's the same thing with New York. New York doesn't have anything. At least in Cincinnati, he has, AJ Green, and he has Joe Mixon, and he has, what's his name? The receiver from Clemson. I don't remember his name right now.
Oh yeah.
Is it T. Higgins?
T. Higgins. Yep.
Yeah. T. Higgins. Like, at least Joe Burrow has some weapons to work with. He's not going to have anything in New York. Yeah. So it's like, and then on top of that, who knows who's going to be the next head coach? Will that head coach even work with Trevor Lawrence? Who's going to be the next GM? Is the owner going to finally stop being so stingy and actually spend money on this team? Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens. But how Adam Gase is still employed is beyond me. Another thing is Sam Darnold, what's going to happen with him, but I guess we can talk about that another day.
Yeah. And last but not least, a bunch of nuggets here, but what happened to the Raiders? Atlanta, only putting up 6 points on Atlanta. Like, what?
Atlanta came into this game, and it was like a couple hours before kickoff, and it came out that Julio Jones wasn't even playing. So the fact that Atlanta somehow put 43 on the Raiders without Julio Jones makes this loss even much more embarrassing. Listen,
incredible.
This happened to the Raiders last year too. This is the game that derails them, because last year they were making the run for the playoffs and then they lost to the Jets. Hopefully this is an outlier this season and the Raiders can bounce back, but I don't know, man. That was I've never seen Carr, we haven't seen Carr play that bad in a long time, and he played awful.
Yeah. He played really bad, but also just in general, I think the story of this game was turnovers. The Raiders had 5 turnovers, 4 fumbles, and an interception. So, that's what's going to happen. Teams are going to take advantage of it. And even, as bad as Atlanta's been this season, as much as I don't like Matt Ryan, he's throughout his career is, the reason you stay in the league so long is take advantage of those mistakes that, the other team's offense makes. And that's, really what the case was in this game.
28-3.
Absolutely. So that wraps up the Nuggets.
Except for that.
Oh man, he'll never live that one down. But yeah, I agree. It was definitely the turnovers that really hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt Las Vegas. It was just really bad. I don't understand what happened.
Yeah, I don't either. I really don't. But that wraps up the Nuggets in Week 12 talk. Now it's time for Line 'em Up with Zach Ruff. When we return, we will give you what to look out for Week 13. Zach, take it away.
All right, welcome to the Week 13 edition of Line 'em Up. I'm Zach Ruff of ProFootballAction.com and at ZachMamba24 on Twitter. Let's get right into it. First up, we have the Raiders at the New York Jets. The line on this game is Raiders minus 7.5. The point total is 47. Las Vegas is 7-4 against the spread this year, and they were absolutely demolished by the Falcons last week, looking to snap their 2-game losing streak in New York this weekend. The team is 3-2 against other teams with losing records. New York's closest game this season was a 3-point loss to the Patriots last month. Sam Darnold was extremely ineffective in his return, going for 197 yards, throwing 2 interceptions last week against Miami. I'm taking the Raiders and the over as the teams are combined 12, 9, and 1 on over-unders. I think 47 points is low enough to get both of those teams over the top there. Next up, we have the Lions at the Bears. The Bears are a 3-point favorite, and the over-under is set at 44. The Lions finally fired head coach Matt Patricia after their beatdown at the hands of Houston. The team rushed 29 times against what was the worst rush defense going into last week. Clearly terrible play calling for a floundering team. The Lions are 3-7-1 against the spread this season. All of their covers are on the road, though they did lose to the Bears in Week 1. Throw Chicago in the trash. That defense has got to be exhausted at this point, though they've managed to only lose 2 games by more than 1 score, one of which was last week against the Packers. Last week against the Packers, Mitchell Trubisky threw 46 times for 242 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. David Montgomery and Allen Robinson continue to waste their careers on a team that's essentially one serious quarterback away from legitimate contention. Chicago is 5-6 against the spread this season and 4-7 in over-unders. I think the Lions will upset the Bears to show everybody just how bad Matt Patricia really was. Give me Detroit and the over. Finally, we have Saints at the Falcons. The Saints are a 3-point favorite. The over-under is set at 46. The Saints are trying to make it 3 straight wins without Drew Brees. Just 2 weeks ago, they dismantled Atlanta 24-9 with Taysom Hill at the helm. New Orleans is 6-5 against the spread and 7-4 in over-unders. Atlanta, though, is on a roll. If they win out, they'll be 9-7 and in the mix for a wild card spot. The Falcons are 5-6 against the spread and an over-under, and will have to try a lot harder to contain the Saints' ground game than they did 2 weeks ago. I'm taking the Falcons and the under. Here's a few more picks for the week. Bengals plus 11.5 over the Dolphins. Browns plus 6 over the Titans. Colts minus 3.5 over the Texans. Cardinals plus 3 over the Rams. And Packers minus 9 over the Eagles. As always, thanks for listening to Line 'em Up on the Kirby on Sports podcast. I'm Zach Ruff, and for more NFL betting tips and analysis, find me at ProFootballAction.com and at the ZachMamba24 on Twitter. Now, back to Josh.
All right. Thank you, Zach. We're back. It's time to what to look out for Week 13. Let's start with you, Carlos. What are you looking forward to most Week 13 in the NFL?
All right. I got a couple things that I'm looking forward to. I definitely want to see the Titans-Browns game. I want to see where the Browns really stack up against the top tier teams in the AFC. The Titans, what they did they just bullied Indianapolis last week. And I'm looking forward to that. Another thing I'm looking forward to is conveniently enough, how I mentioned in the last segment, the Raiders, how their trap game was against the Jets last year. They're playing the Jets, so we'll see how they bounce back. And then last but not least, it'll be just seeing how Patrick Mahomes and the band of his merry men play against the Denver Broncos, and with the Broncos finally getting all their quarterbacks back.
Yeah, that really great look to what to look out for. Thank you for that, Carlos. I have one single what to look out for. I know it's slim to none, but still, Pittsburgh is playing tomorrow as we're recording on Wednesday at 3.
Please don't remind me.
They oh yeah, sorry Dan. At least they didn't ruin your Thanksgiving, the Ravens did. But
That is
anyways,
true.
yeah. Anyways, then
But I was looking forward to that game. That was the one game I was looking forward to. I was like, at least we're gonna get a really good like playoff type matchup on Thanksgiving, and then it all went to shit. So,
anyways, I know it's still slim to none, but Pittsburgh with a very short week in Washington coming off a commanding win against Dallas on Thanksgiving gives Washington plenty of rest time for this game on Monday. The odds are against Washington.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
But still, with Pittsburgh on a very short week, who knows what Washington can go out and do? I'm not going to say Washington will pound Pittsburgh. They will come out and destroy them because Pittsburgh's on a short week, because the odds are stacked against Washington. Washington's terrible on Monday night. I mean, it's 5:00, but still, Monday, Washington is atrocious on Monday.
That's such a weird time to play a game on a Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're playing Pittsburgh 10-0 for the time being. So, but I'm still looking out for this game because there's a small chance Washington can catch Pittsburgh off guard. I know you all might think I'm very crazy, but still, with Pittsburgh's short week, who knows what Washington can do? And if
it's not out of the question.
Yeah, it's not out of the question. That's why I'm looking forward to seeing if this game will be a complete rout of Washington, or if Washington can make a run and actually try to win this game. So that's what I'm looking out forward to. I know, Dan, you think I must be crazy, but
I'm thinking you should put your money where your mouth is and put some money down on the football team.
Yeah, no,
because it's a 9.5. Steelers are 9.5 point favorites. So if Washington's able to pull that out, man, you're gonna be rich.
I really like those odds. I actually might put some money down on it myself.
Me too. Why not? Why not do it as a group podcast?
Dan, what are you looking forward to most week 13?
He trying to slide past that. He doesn't want to put he has no faith in his team.
I'm going to be on the lookout for the Cardinals and Rams. We'll see if the Rams can bounce back and if Jared Goff cannot look like a backup high school quarterback. And the Cardinals also looking to bounce back, and Kyler didn't have his best game either. So I'm really watching the two quarterbacks in that game. I personally, man, it's hard for me to pick between these two teams just because, I think I'm going to take the Rams, even though the Cardinals are at home. It's just so difficult, man. But I think it's going to come down to the end. There's going to be a game-winning kick, and this is such an important game for that division. And I think really that's the game that stands out to me the most in Week 13. That's it. I wish you the best of luck on your bet for the football team. My prayers are with you and thoughts and all of those good things.
Well, I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm just saying there's a chance Washington could potentially. I'm giving it 90 to 10% chance.
Kirby, come on. Yeah. It's 95-5.
Yeah, 95-5 or something like that.
Let's be completely honest. It's 95-5, man. Come on.
And maybe while you're at it, you could put some money on Denver too, Kirby. And if both those teams can somehow.
When did we get into sports betting all of a sudden?
Well, listen, it will eventually become legal in the state of Virginia, and we will be participating.
I mean,
I know I will.
You won't be putting money down on Dallas because they'll lose every week.
Absolutely. Listen, you don't bet based on emotion. You bet based on intelligence.
Yeah,
That's right.
I don't know. Yeah, I like to save my money. So for the time being, I will not be betting on that game. But anyways, that wraps it up for another edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Carlos, Dan, thank you again for coming on. Carlos, I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you on the podcast in weeks to come. And our guest contributor, as always, Dan Demski, for all the hard work he puts into the Kirby on Sports podcast. Any last words or remarks before we close things out, gentlemen?
No, thanks for having me on. And Dan, it was nice to meet you. This is the first time we've ever done a podcast together. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun, but I got to go watch The Bachelorette now. So,
oh, goodness. Oh, good. Yeah. Apparently, look out for Carlos's new podcast about The Bachelor.
Whoa. We're not ready to announce that.
Well, that was under wraps. Pretend you didn't hear any of that. It's no big deal. Carlos is
just scrub it at the end. It'll be fine.
All right. So the Kirby on Sports podcast, as always, sponsored by Regroup Building Services and PM Plus Reserves. Big thanks, as always, to MPT Now Productions, Dave Johnson, and productions by Quet. You can catch the Kirby on Sports podcast on all streaming platforms, anchor.fm/the Kirby on Sports podcast. Make sure you check us out on all social media platforms as well. Until the next episode, always continue to create greatness, and we will see you next time. Peace out.